Grand Rising, Elizabeth. This is the day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice in it. It is Thursday, September the 19th, y'all. Woo, time is marching really fast. We say this every day. Because a minute ago we were getting ready for the conference in May, and now it's September. We about to.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I want to start off with our mythical goddess tarot because I really want to get into Dr. Fabu and give her as much time as possible. So I picked two cards today. And the first card is C's, and that is joy. Mm-hmm. Joy. And yeah, I need my glasses on. Here we go. Okay, that's Jupiter in Pisces. This playful dolphin rider dances through her waters of feelings with playfulness and joy. The warmth of the sun fills her with happiness at home and in the abundant gifts of life and the bliss of creation. She is here to remind you of how easy it is to open your heart to the flow of joy that is present all around you. By taking time to be in Mother Nature and for fun and play, the joy of life is yours to experience and share with others. It's contagious.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm feeling about next Friday night, y'all. Next Friday night. We're going to be making spirit dolls. Woo!
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Okay, the second card is also C's, and it is pleasure.
Okay.
Okay. The sun in Scorpio. The beautiful mermaid basks in her feeling element of water, seated on a rose quartz foundation of love. She embodies pleasure and regeneration, immersed in the pure flow of giving and receiving. She is illuminated by the light of love, passionate and sensual, at one with the pure pleasure of all the elements of life. She is here to reveal the emotional abundance of pleasure that is yours to give and receive when you are oriented to the beauty all around you. She shows you how to open completely to your vital heart energy and connects you to the pleasure of life in each moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Don't you just love the messages? I love this tarot deck. I love all tarot decks mostly because, I mean, they're always on point. Always. Always on point. And I really like the people who have created their own. I think Lottie is a part of Lottie is a part of a group of they're putting out a tarot deck, which looks very interesting. Yes, so I'm so excited. I'm so excited. We have with us Dr. Diane Fatu. I am so excited. And I have been taking Jackson. I almost forgot your last name. I have been taking the courses with her that she developed about communication, and I have learned a lot and about communication, and that is what the Elizabeth strive to do, is to communicate and to listen well so that people feel like they're heard and they're understood. And And that's what she has developed. She developed this 3-part course that really breaks it down and explains it, and with the practicum and the if you practice it, just like with the Course of Miracles, you got to practice. So I'd like to introduce the fabulous Dr. Fabu Jackson. Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Let me
Do you need the screen, Doctor?
what, like for to show some things? No, I'm gonna talk through.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. So first, thank you for the invitation to come and share some knowledge with the group. Also, I love the message. I'm a Scorpio, so that radiated with me. 2 cards of joy and pleasure. The pleasure of being on the planet and being able to experience nature in all of its forms creates tremendous joy.
Mhm.
And when we wake up every morning and we acknowledge the pleasure of being in this dimension at this time, and to offer our gifts, whatever those are, brings us tremendous joy. So I think right in this frequency that we're in, this low frequency that's permeating the planet now, if we can keep those 2 aspects that you just highlighted for us and gave us the message for, we can raise our frequency to a higher level where we can navigate this stuff in the essence of joy, because joy is an internal aspect. It's not determined by what's outside of us. It's determined by what's inside of us. And so I'd like to talk a little bit today about the joy of listening. I call it the gift of listening. Because in many instances, communication is one of the areas in which all of us struggle because we are not really understood. Because when you have a conversation, there are 2 people in the conversation. It's the speaker, the one who's talking, and then the receiver. And how the receiver receives determines how that receiver responds. And so what I teach is listening is a process. It's like an oxymoron. You think that listening, you're actually being still, but listening is a process. And it requires some skill because we don't see the world. There's a saying, we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. So what does that mean? We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. It's that we come to the space of communication with our own perceptions, our own beliefs that interfere with how we hear someone. And I call it wearing your lens, like wearing a pair of glasses. You put on your lens and you filter everything through the lens. Our beliefs, our perceptions, which are taught to us very early in our life, determines how we interface with others. And so the first part of my program is I teach consciousness. Before you can be a good listener, you have to be very conscious of who you are. And I define consciousness as expanded awareness, awareness of yourself, what triggers you, what's your belief, your perceptions. And then after you get control of that, because you're not going to always be in control of it, you can be aware of it. Then it allows you to sit in what I call the sacred seats of communication. Let me give you an example. So someone might say to you, well, yesterday when we were talking, and this is the receiver, I didn't like the way you treated me. So that word treated has a lot of multiple meanings. So the person who is well trained in the process of listening would paraphrase, and I'll get to that in a minute, but I'm just giving you an example. Would paraphrase, so you feel like the way I talked to you didn't honor you. The person says yes. And then you'll say, well, share a little bit more with me what you mean by treated you. Because treated has multiple meanings. So you don't know what that word means. You have to find out what the word means coming from that person so that you can respond. So when you are aware and your consciousness is expanded, you become in that moment aware that there's some miscommunication here, and I have the skills to process it. Beliefs are very, very powerful. We think that our belief and how we feel is the most important element in a communication loop. And I call it a communication loop because when the speaker speaks, the speaker is going to give you nonverbal and verbal cues. Then the receiver receives it. So we're not just hearing, we're looking and experiencing. People are looking at your face, they're looking at your hands. It may not be conscious, but they're responding to it. And then it impacts their perception and how they evaluate what you say. And then you receive the feedback from it. And then it impacts how you respond. Are you with me?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So the whole power is understanding. And what we're having is there's a lack of understanding when we sit in the sacred seats of communication. And so what I do is the first day, we spend a lot of time exploring beliefs, what we believe about things, our beliefs about our own intelligence, our belief about how we navigate the world, our beliefs about who are we, our own identity. Who are we? Do we believe we have the capacity to sit in the sacred seats of listening and offer that gift? And so we spend time there and then we practice. So we'll say trigger words and see how individuals will respond, like the word respect. Respect has multiple meanings. We don't know what that means unless we delve into the process to find out. So on day one, we explore this whole concept because I believe in building conceptual frameworks first before you get tools. So we built the first day as just talking about this whole thing of consciousness. What is it? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? What are some of the beliefs that we hold? And then that second day, I begin to give the team, I call power tools. And the first one is to learn how to pause in a conversation because most people are listening to respond, not to understand. Most folks are waiting to jump in so that they can share what's in their head, not what you are saying.
Mhm.
So that first skill is to pause. Take a moment to pause before you respond. And a pause could be a verbal cue as well, like so or So we learn how to do that. We pause before we jump in. And in that pausing, we become aware of unproductive patterns of listening. And there are three. Sometimes we're listening to tell our own story. We call it autobiographical listening. So we're listening so I can say, oh, yeah, that happened to me. So we jump in, we steal the person's story, we start to talk, and the person's no longer sharing their story. So when you are aware, you become aware, oh, I want to jump in and tell my story. But you suspend that for the moment so that you can listen. Another unproductive pattern of listening is to listen to solve someone's problem. When someone comes to you to have a conversation, they're not necessarily sharing for you to solve it. They're sharing for you to help them understand it. And so the skills that we provide is to help the person think for themselves. We call it mediating. We are standing in between the person and their thinking. We're not there to give our story. Some people think that if you share your story, you're actually communicating that you understand, you're with them. No, the person doesn't want you to tell your story at that moment. And if you watch them, as I indicated, the verbal cues, you'll see they become depleted in that moment because they hadn't finished. So that first step is to really become aware that this unproductive pattern of listening, of jumping in, telling my story, should be suspended in that moment. And then you're not to solve anyone's problem. You are there to help them think through their own problem. And the third type of unproductive listening, we call it inquisitive listening. You're listening for the juicy details. So someone might say to you, "Ooh, I am so excited about purchasing a new home. We found one. It has 3 bedrooms, and we're just wondering if we can just meet the mortgage uh, every month." So an inquisitive question would be, "So how much did you pay for the house?" Which is none of your business. But you think you have the right to ask. What the person said, if you're listening carefully, we're wondering if we will be able to meet the mortgage. And that's when your mediation comes in. So you and your husband are wondering, do you have the funds to get this house that you really like? And the person says yes. You might say, so what might be a problem for you meeting the mortgage? Because the conversation that they're having with you is they want you to help them think about, I have this desire, I want this, but I have some questions around it. So those patterns of unproductive listening, we explore those and we talk about them and we share with each other how difficult at times it is to suspend those things when we're listening. And then we talk about the powerful tool of paraphrasing. And paraphrasing is when you paraphrase what a person is saying, which communicates to them that you are listening. It's not parroting. You're not repeating what the person is saying. You are listening for the essence of what a person is saying. And then you give that to them. So, like I just paraphrased, I just modeled for you. So you're wondering if your family might be able to meet the mortgage. So I didn't say the exact same thing. I picked up the essence. And the person said yes. And then that gives you the data for your next step. And that next step then is to ask very powerful, effective questions, not good questions, because we don't use the term good or bad. So good or bad are judgments. Either you are effective or ineffective. There's no judgment around it. And if you're ineffective, what it communicates that you can find a strategy to become more effective. And so, and then we spend a lot of time on day 3 practicing, because many of the individuals in the sessions share with me how difficult they find it to be in the sacred seat of listening and just being present. And we spent some time talking about that. To be a good listener, you have to learn how to be totally present with the speaker. That means when you sit in the sacred seat to listen, nothing matters but the person sitting in front of you. You give that person your full attention. That means you're not in your head thinking about something the person said that might have triggered something in you. When you are totally present with a person, you can pick up on every aspect of the person. I watch their breathing. I look at their hands. I establish rapport so that I can totally be aware of what they're sharing. And then I can assist them, not help them, because you're not there to help. You're there to assist one in their own thinking so that they can become clear about what's going on with them. And we spend a lot of time discussing intention. It's all about your intention. What is your intention? Is your intention to listen, or is your intention to jump in and share your story? And we talk about that because intention can be conscious and unconscious. So I was talking to some recently, and they were saying, well, I went off on this person and I didn't mean to. I said, yes, you did. You meant to. It was your intention to do it. Now, it may have been unconscious, but you probably thought earlier, I'm going to give that person a tongue lashing. You're thinking that. So when you went off, you planned to do it because you were not what? Aware. You weren't conscious. And that's why we spend so much time discussing consciousness, because we act out in a non-conscious way, and then we feel a regret after it because we're not in ourselves, we're not in our bodies. We're allowing something to trigger us, and it triggers how we listen to others. And so practicing is a key because it's a new way of being. What I'm talking about is a new way of being. We're not used to being totally present with others when they're talking, and they can feel it. Now, it's not really a downside, but I laugh about it because people are not used to being listened to. So they begin to feel like you're a counselor because you're so present and you are helping them think. They love it and they want you to listen to them often. So that's one thing you have to be aware of, that you make sure people know you're not counseling, you're just listening. But most folks don't listen. So it is really a gift that you can give to others. So, what questions might you have about what I've shared with you? Or comments?
Unmute yourself.
I don't want any background noise, but I think I want to know because I have practiced and reminding myself to practice, because it is very important to me to communicate well with my grandson and with my daughter, and with everyone that I come in contact with. And so I guess I'm answering my own question, because I think I will be able to really practice when it comes to my classes and my workshops, because I answered my own question. I will be able to really, when I'm around other people and showing them, and when they ask questions about whatever it is we're doing, I will be able to really show that I'm listening. Mm-hmm. Oh, I just answered my own question. I love that. Mm-hmm. Okay, next.
Because you were wondering, is there select times in which you should listen? Now, that's a paraphrase I just did. Yeah. She was wondering, should she listen just with her family, or can she listen all the time? Individuals who become highly developed in this process, in meetings, they are listening. In meetings, they are paraphrasing. In meetings, they're posing powerful questions, because they're there to stand in the middle of someone's thinking. So it's not selective. It's all the time. It becomes an identity. It becomes who you are. So if I'm in a meeting and someone says something that I'm unclear about, I'll say, excuse me, let me see if I understand what you're saying. So then I paraphrase, and the person might say, well, that's some of it. That lets me know my paraphrase was not clear enough. So I'll try again. And then you never ask the question before you seek understanding. The understanding has to be there because you don't know what question to pose.
Okay.
So what you just highlighted, you became aware, because remember, consciousness is our first major power tool. You became conscious through your own mediation of your thinking that I can use it all the time. But you said a key word: practice. Practice, practice. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Diane, yes, I would like to know, first, thank you for coming and thank you for sharing. This is a beautiful conversation. And I'd like to know what how did you get into communication? Is that how you have been since a child? You know, is that your way of being? from a child, and then you got the education to match it.
And thank you for that. I should have given you all an introduction before I delved into content. But I'm an educator, taught was with Detroit Public Schools for 35 years, and then Michigan State for 10. I taught middle school for 15 years, which required a lot of listening, but I wasn't as skilled as I am now. So when I left the classroom, I became a educational coach for teachers, and then a supervisor of teachers, then a central office administrator. And while I was in the supervisory role, I became a director of staff development, and I received a lot of training from some very powerful gentlemen who taught mediation of thinking. And so I took those strategies, the workshops, I took it maybe 5 times to learn it over and over and over again. And then I left Detroit Public Schools and went to Michigan State for 10 years, where I directed a statewide program for educational coaches, which required that this skill become evident. And so as I learned how to do it, and a team of us learned how to do it, because there are like 5 of us who depend on each other all the time now to do that work with each other, I began to internalize it in a different way and to create my own model around it. And so I think you posed a great question, because I believe my purpose is to serve and to give my gift. I learned how to be present because I like that concept, because I'm a meditator. I teach meditation in community, in circles. I like being present with people because I can pick up on their essence. Then when you learn how to do that, you can see the shift. Like Evelyn, we saw the shift, her eyes went up. She says, I just solved my own question. I like that. And so I can see it in individuals. And it is reciprocity in it, because as I give, I receive. And so now it's my identity. Because I remember when I used to practice with my daughters, they would say, Mom, what are you doing? What are you saying? Because when I teach it, it feels a little sterile initially, because we're learning it in parts, right? You have to learn the conceptual frameworks, learn it in parts. But after you pull it all together and you internalize it, becomes more natural for you. So thank you for the question.
Now, are you here in Detroit? Are you here in Detroit?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm working a lot with the Wisdom Institute, which is a wonderful group.
Oh, yes.
Of ladies that I work with. They're so open to the work, and they're really working on becoming mediators to give this gift of listening. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you heard of Landmark Education?
Yes. I went through Landmark many, 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 many years ago.
Okay, because they had that communication course and stuff, and so yeah, that's I just was wondering some of the things. Well, I mean, truth is truth. So some, they were teaching the same thing, but I love your approach and the program that you put together.
2 miles to right lanes are closed.
Okay, mute her. That was Miss Stacy in her car.
Oh, okay. Who's Pixel 6 Pro? And 313-388-17 881-7345. Could you come on camera if possible and introduce yourself?
Or change your name?
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Lakeisha, I'm the Pixel 6.
Oh, okay. You in 2 places.
People today, okay. Gwendolyn's hand is up.
Gwen?
Go ahead, Gwen.
Okay, she's looking for
Unmute
yourself, honey.
Well, did she get?
You see the audio there? Oh, there she is. You're unmuted now. No, just can't hear you. Oh, what's happening?
Yeah, we can't hear her.
We can't hear you, Gwen.
Yeah. Yeah. Still know what's happening.
While Gwen is coming on, Dr. Diane, can you, what is your website? How do we contact you? And your seminars, your sessions, how do you schedule them based on there's a group that wants you, or do you have one where it's always going on? We just can check the schedule.
Right now, I'm only working with the Wisdom Institute because I'm doing two things. I'm working with the Institute and another group that I'm working with. And then I am focusing more on my meditation circles. I'm doing meditation circles. And the intent of those is to help people to become more conscious and aware of their inner knowing. So right now, I'm available by request. So this year, I'm pretty full this year. So next year, I'll be taking on more groups who would like to learn how to do the work. So you can always contact me through my my email, which is dianefabu@aol.com. So that's very easy. dianefabu@aol.com.
So how do
you have a
these
website?
No website.
how do these meditation circles work? I mean, how often and how would we join?
So I'll let you know about the next one. I'm thinking I'm doing one in October. I'll let you know. Again, I'm requested by like I did one recently with Trisha. Wonderful group of 40 people who showed up for that one. And I do them at the Northwest Activity Center. So I'm working with them now to see if I can get a date in October. And what I do is people come in and I do guided meditation. And it's by love offering. And we come and we spend a good hour and a half going deep into a guided process. And the purpose of that is to activate that first tool that I talked to you about, which is consciousness. And I call it spiritual meditation because we're trying to go in and tap into divine presence that's within us. And so when I guide you through the meditation, I guide you through a part where you are able to visualize some things and come through. And my goal is to lift your frequency. So I use some tools to do that. Because the higher our frequency, the easier it is for us to navigate the low frequency, as I talked about earlier. So I'll let you know. I'll let Evelyn know my next one, and then we can keep you updated on when I have them. The reason I don't do them on like a ongoing, because it becomes too commercialized at that point. And so I like to do them when the spirit moves me, when the spirit says, "Okay, it's time for you to do one." And I did one at my house recently with a group that I work with, a support group. It was about 12 of us. The spirit said, you need to do it with this group at your house. And I know these individuals, so that was appropriate for me to do. And we had a wonderful just experience because there was someone in the group that needed some healing. We didn't know that, but spirit knew it. And so my ancestors just said, come on, get them together. And that worked. So I will let you know when I have them. And so that what I'm doing is I'm channeling the energy that's channeling in me. So, which helps everyone to experience an expanded part of themselves. And then again, meditation must be practiced because my goal was to open the third eye. You all are aware of the third eye right here. That's your inner eye.
Yes.
Every time you close your eyes, you leave this dimension and you go into your inner dimension. Every time you close your eyes, everything disappears outside of you. It no longer exists. Go inside. You're able to tap into the divinity that's the spark in you. And all that helps when you are present, when you are listening, it helps you to be totally present because you're present with yourself. You're not letting your beliefs guide you. You're letting their beliefs lift so that you can explore it with them. So knowing who you are is the first criteria for being totally present. Thank you for the question.
So now I'm wondering all the times that I close my eyes. Or not just falling asleep.
We have another hand up.
Oh, yes. Hello.
Hey, Hotep, good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
My name is Miata.
Hi, Miata.
Miata.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Hello, hello. I'm so glad to be able to join you all. And I just wanted to thank you, Dr. Fatu, for really setting the tone for my day today as I am en route to go and work with some fifth graders.
Ooh.
And as I was listening to you, I was embracing the fact that I really need to listen to them, to honor them, and to make sure that I'm hearing them. Your message was really powerful, and I've heard it in many different ways in the past, but on this day, as I said, when I said, wow, I'm going to really try to join you, I was glad that I was able to, because sometimes we need reminders. And so for me, on a personal level, in terms of the work that I'm doing with children, and then on a personal level, in terms of working on myself, in my personal relationships, it just really resonated and hit home, just how powerful listening can be. And so I just wanted to just thank you for that. I've been, I won't get into it, but it's fifth grade, so I'll just leave it at that. But just really needed this reminder, and just wanted to say thank you. I think it's powerful. I'm hoping maybe that you will do that workshop in October, since I'll be in the D in the middle of October. I mean the end of October. I'll be there the end of October, so I'll text you. Because I would love to come. So yeah. So
text
anyway,
me the dates you'll be in town.
Yeah, I'll text you. I'll text you.
Yeah.
When we're done. So yeah, but thank you so much. Again, for me, just needed the reminders. Having, it's just to listen and be tuned in, and not try, as I tell my students, put your hand down until after, so I was hearing that when you were saying a lot of times we listen to respond instead of, so we're so busy thinking about what we want to say. So it just resonated with me, and I just, again, thank you.
Yes. And you'll be amazed. Thank you. So what you shared with us, that there's an important concept for you, is to be present when someone is speaking. And as our queen said, it's only one truth. So you'll experience listening tools everywhere, because that is a common conversation. I think that the difference that I offer is I like to add a spiritual component to it, where we are so present that people can pick up on that. And with children, especially adolescents, they are pure presence. They were the ones who coined "I feel you." In fact, when I taught eighth grade, this, I feel you, Miss Jackson. I said, "What does that mean, Robert? What does that mean? I feel you." He said, you know. I said, "No, I don't know." He said, "It's more than what you say." They do all that, the body language. I feel you. So I worked with that for years, that concept, because they are still organic.
Yeah.
You know, they're not
Sure.
faking it, you know. So when you say something to them, you look at them, they feel you first before you say anything. And at our last group meeting with the Wisdom Institute, I gave them a chart. People, 65% of your gestures, what people observe when you're in a conversation, not what you're saying, it's your gestures. They're watching your eyes. And some of it, they're unconscious that they're doing it, but they feel you. And so when we are in a conversation, I even take a stance. And you don't have to always paraphrase, but you know, you're having fun talking with your friend. But at one moment, you hear that this person needs some mediation, and you even change your stance. You become very present. And then you're listening, and then you paraphrase. And then you pose questions. And there are 3 types of questions that I teach, and they're very powerful ways of entering. I call it entering the conversation. So yes, thank you. Other comments or questions?
Well, I just wanted to know where you were from, where you reside, where do you
Miata.
Miata, yeah, where are you?
I am also from the D, from Detroit, born and raised, and mentored by Dr. Fatu at a very early age, and continuing to learn from her wisdom in my older age. And so I'm from Detroit, and I now live in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm a transplant. I've been here well over almost 40 years since my son just.
It's been that long. Oh, wow.
It's been that long. Yeah, I know. It's been that long. So yeah, I'm pretty close to 40 years because yeah, my son just turned 36. It might be 40 by now, actually. So yeah. Yep.
Wow, well, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you.
What do you do? Because you say you were going to meet with 15
I'm a
year-olds.
Babu's gonna laugh. I'm a semi-retired educator. I taught for 35 years and I can't let it go. So
that's good. That's okay.
I'm still trying to find that space that you called me about last year, and I'm kind of getting closer to it. But I'm a retired educator, and I currently am doing a long-term sub for a 5th grade teacher, a sister that I used to work with, and she's on maternity, and so I didn't want the babies to start off with a just in and out presence, so I took her classroom for the beginning of the school year, and she'll be back in 2 weeks. And so, yeah. So I'm just trying to find some, I love our children, and I love teaching, and I love the ability to be able to do it when I want to. And
yeah,
so,
right. That's the good part right there.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Lakeisha, you got anything? You en route, or Sharonda?
Everybody's so quiet this morning.
Yes.
Is there anything that you didn't understand? So that's a good question. Is there anything that you're questioning or still working on understanding?
You had a question for me, Mama Evelyn? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just wondering, did you have a question?
I was at work, but I'm like, I wish I was here to hear the whole thing because it sounds like it was good. I mean, we can all do better communications. And I'm like, I know she was here to give a speech, but I'm just like, can she be my mediator when I talk to my sister? I feel like it's just been a brick wall, and all I want to do is have a relationship with her, but it just seems like it's just not working. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm kind of like at my wit's end with it. I'm tired of arguing. Like, it's sad.
So you're wondering how you could best listen to your sister to establish a relationship.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily listen to her, but it's just to communicate. You know what I mean? It's just like it's no relationship there. Okay, my family, we have a nonprofit, and my whole issue was I don't want to be a part of this if this is the only time I can see my family. Like, this is retarded to me. Like, I want to see my family outside of this nonprofit situation. Okay, we have a meeting once a month. So the only time I see my family or, her or whatever, it was my mom too before. But this is the only time I can talk to y'all and see y'all. This is sad.
Mm-hmm. So you're wondering how you can create more opportunities for you and your family to build relationship.
Right. And I mean, I've been trying, like my mom and I, we've been doing better. Like we be together a lot, now. But I mean, it's taken a lot to, to be able to get there,
Mm-hmm. Now, if you notice when I talked to her, when I said listening, she says, no, that wasn't it. So that paraphrase didn't hit it. And people will let you know that. Mm-hmm. Then when I said to her, it's more about relationship, she said, yes. Mm-hmm. So when you're using and so no judgment around did I do it right or wrong, is that my goal is to make sure I'm hearing what she's saying. And so it would be nice if you could attend one of the sessions maybe that the Wisdom Institute offers and talk with them. Because what I'm hearing is there's a lot of miscommunication within the family because you have to have some tools for listening. And so when you're listening to your sister, it's going to be important for you to be totally present, surrender all thoughts that you have about not reaching her, and then listening to her skillfully. Mm-hmm. With some of the skills that we talked about. So that's the opportunity, not the challenge. The opportunity is how do I release my judgments and my thoughts about it so that I can be totally present and hear what she's saying, because she's telling you a lot. And so when you can step outside of that and really hear it, which requires some skill, it's hard to just listen. You have to have skill sets to do it and release judgment around it. And so that requires some practice for all of us because we judge a lot and we're judging consciously and unconsciously because we're always in our heads. Mm-hmm. Our tapes are always playing. So you have to learn how to turn your tape off and listen. And that requires a lot of practice around consciousness. How conscious am I in the moment of me? What's going on within me? How conscious am I? Because I have a friend who always remember I told you about the listening set-asides, the unproductive listening. Mm-hmm. And so when I'm talking to my friend, she likes to give me a lot of things that's going on with her. So I, do my thing. But when it's my turn, I can see her looking away. When people look away, they're letting you know, I don't want to listen to you any longer. So you're sitting there just talking and they're, so some people want you to hear, but they don't want to stand in a space for you. And so I might say, I haven't finished my story. Person, okay, I'm sorry. So people are not aware that they're not aware. They're not aware that they're not offering you the gift that you give them. And so your friend, you don't want to hear your friend talking all the time, right? You don't want them coming to you all the time. So there are times you want someone to listen to you, but they may not know. So your transparency, if you value the friendship, is to say, I need you to hear me today because I have something going on that I really need someone to help me think through it, not give me what?
Advice.
advice.
Yeah.
I don't need advice.
Mhm.
I need you to help me think about it.
Yeah.
And that's what a mediator does. You stand in between the person and their thinking, and you help them to think. So you might say, if I might say to Chandra, so you mentioned you want a relationship with your family. Tell me more about what that means. You see, because relationship has multiple meanings.
One, like you said, being able to talk to them, doing stuff with them, stuff like that. I mean, I'm just like, anything outside of the block club is good with me. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm like, I don't understand it. I mean, it was an incident that happened, that I think has caused all of this, and I haven't been able to get past that. And I want to get clarification on why this happened, because it was what happened to me. Because I'm like, for me, it's like, okay, if it happened once, it can happen again. And I don't want it to happen again. And my whole rationale is I want to get an understanding of that situation so that we can move forward and get over the past and move forward. I'm like, I don't want to be stuck in the past. And some people like, oh, just get over it. They didn't mean nothing by it. I'm like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
And so for you, having someone to really coach you around that would be powerful. If someone with some skill sets could really coach you to help you get to the meat of what's going on would be very powerful for you. And when people tell folks you need to get over it, that phrase means they're not present. And so be aware that you cross that one off your list. Because when people say that, what they're really saying is, I'm not honoring your feelings. So what they need to hear is, so you're still struggling with that concept. You're still struggling with. The person says yes. You say, well, tell me more what you're struggling with. And then you get more data, and then you can pose questions for them to think through it. If the situation could be different, what might it look like for you? You see that question? And we call that an inquiry question. If something could be different, what might it look like? And the person might say, with an inquiry question, you notice they stop and think. They look up, because it's not a present answer. It's something they have to think about. And the person might say, well, I don't know what that might look like, because I'm still in the moment of the pain of it. And then you would paraphrase. So at this time, it's difficult for you to move on. And then the person now is thinking, So what you're doing now is creating the sparks in the person's mind. And if they can't get there in the moment you're talking with them, you've triggered some thinking, and they'll be thinking about it. What might it look like for me for this to be different? So belief, consciousness are the power skills that we work with the first day. We just stay with that and really understand our beliefs. Because we hold family perceptions that are ingrained in us. We hold belief about religion that ingrained in us. I was talking to a friend. She and her husband were having problems in their relationship, but it was all around child rearing. And as I talked with them, they had different perceptions of how a child should be raised. She came from a family where the parents believed in talking to the children and providing punishments, time out, those kinds of things to help the child to think. He came from a family that you don't spare the rod. His phrase was, you beat their asses. So now the two of them, child is having an issue. They're in conflict over that. So the conversation should be on that and not what last year you did this, you did that. Now you've taken it to a whole different arena. When the real arena is, we need to explore our beliefs about how we're raising our children.
Right.
And how do we get to a middle ground around it?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where the conversation has to marinate. Not in giving him, well, we should do this, we do that. No. How do we manage our beliefs about how we're raising our children?
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of strategy is a way of helping. So beliefs are very, very important because you get triggered in a conversation and it's unconscious in many instances.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think I started out because I was spanked when I was little. So I started out like that, but I grew not to use that method. It just didn't seem productive to be beating on a small child. So I have a friend, I have a relative actually, and I really wish my grandson could have been around her and her son more, because her thing was she'd stop the car and have them do several push-ups. Give me 50, give me 20. So, oh wow, this has been eye-opening, and even more so, especially with the family thing. And yeah, Sharonda, I will definitely let you know when the Wisdom Institute is having another session. And you might want to join us, because I'm gonna take it again, because it's just like the Course in Miracles. Let's take it again and again and again till, I don't know, till the end, because like you said, we ever need to be reminded, forever need to practice being better human beings, I think. So, any closing statement, Dr. Fabu?
Well, I do have one question before you close. The session that you're doing with the Wisdom Institute, how is that created? How is that designed? Is it like weekly, monthly, a day? How is that created?
This iteration of it, we're doing monthly. So we're going to be doing our last session in this month.
Yeah, 28th.
How many months has it been?
3.
Okay. So 3 sessions.
So yeah, we do 3 sessions together. So Evelyn can keep you up on when Wisdom Institute will offer it again, because they'll probably do another iteration of it soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's an ongoing process for the ongoing situations that we find ourselves in.
And we get new people all the time. It's the last session too. We had 4 new people came in for day 2. So we had to do some follow-up. But I always do a review, because what happens is on the first day, the information appears to be complex. And so you spend a lot of time thinking about it and trying to practice, but you really don't know how to practice. So then once we get into the practice mode, like we'll do a lot of practice this next week. It's our last session. We'll spend the whole day just practicing.
Yeah.
And it usually is a 2.5 hour.
Okay.
Yeah, 2.5 hour one. And then sometimes it's 3 hours. So that you can really.
It's not online. It's at a location, or is it online?
No.
It's face to face.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is it called?
The gift of listening. So it's important to do face to face, because you have to look at folk.
Yeah.
During COVID, we did I did an online one, and I might offer an online one. And I'm not sure yet if I'll do that, but we'll see.
Okay.
But I appreciated being with you. I always love it when I can talk about this process.
Yeah.
Because as I indicated, it's my identity. So I try to, my purpose on the planet is to serve. And so I just let the ancestors guide me on how that looks in spirit.
Thank you. And that's a fun way to go, letting spirit guide you. You find some unique and wonderful situations.
Yes.
Awesome.
So
we shall meet again. But I'll let you all know about the a meditation that I'm trying to schedule in October, and you're all invited. And it's just a love offering, and we spend time together. And in closing, just the power of the community. Being in community is very, very powerful. And when we sit in a circle together and set the intention that we're going to go deep together, it's amazing what people experience in the meditation. Because we've all agreed to be together in that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
And people receive all types of messages, and it's just very powerful. Okay, so Ashe, and I will see you later.
Okay, we have a special closing. You want to go ahead and close us out?
Yeah, it is 10:03. And first of all, we hug ourselves. We give ourselves some love. You can hug yourself, you can kiss yourself, whatever you need to do. And you hug the world, and we're sending out love and light and high vibrations and wake people up all over the world. And then we sprinkle all the love and sugar and all the we don't need to eat physically, but and I want to thank everybody for showing up today. And thank you, Dr. Fabu. This was fabulous. This was fabulous.
And we are here Monday through Friday,
9 to 10. Monday is Danielle, the social media goddess. Tuesday is health and wellness with Stacy and Deidre. Wednesday is millionaire mindset mogul. That's Lakeisha LeGrand, and she has a powerful Wednesday talking about how to become a millionaire.
Wealth building Wednesdays.
And Thursday for me is creativity, and what better way than to be creative than to communicate it. And Friday is passion and purpose with Queen Aduni and Lolly. And yeah, so
feel free to come back through. And
anytime. So y'all have a great day.
Have a great day, and I thank you all for all of this energy, because I need it so much. Ancestors and spirits sent me this way, and I am grateful.
Hey, yes, ma'am.
Okay, y'all, miff it today. Make it fun.
All right. Have